Maybe that's me. Maybe I'm one of these hobbyists. I had like checkbook in hand. You start to say, what is it about me that needs a coach? Am I really that bad where I need like a full makeover?
For 15 years, the job was clear: argue the case, protect the client, make the call. Then he walked away to build a legal tech company from scratch, alone, with no one in the room to catch what he misses. This conversation is about what happens to the calls you make when the signal is clear and the space to use it isn't. This is Decision State. You mentioned a pricing structure that you built over several weeks. The more expensive tier was actually worth less than the mid tier, I believe. If you could take me inside that, not when you caught it, when you were building it, what was really going on?
So we laid that out, and I came in here with the expectation that I'm going to be brutally honest with, I guess, myself and with you. So we saw that's how software as a service was priced. We just saw that that's how it was done. That's the rule book. So I guess we said that's how we're going to price it. I said maybe more. I said that. And I said, gotta have at first we had the bronze, silver, and gold, because that's how it lays out. The three steps was kind of the initial vision, because that's, I guess, how it's done. And then we realized that our product, K, does have certain features that do fit into it. So we did a kind of total reverse engineering here. We knew what we wanted it to look like because that's how everyone does it. And then we actually looked at our product and said, you know what, that actually works. And then we made it work.
So, if you could walk me through what you're actually running right now for people listening, what does a week look like for you?
My week is very heavily in design, I think, because being a lawyer, I remember, working and all the things that would help me in my work, what I wish I had. So I've got a list of all of those things, and I like to kind of bring that to either partners that I know or honestly to AI sometimes, put it in there, have it digest the idea, come up with some possible ideas. And then I get into the marketing. Early on is very good for social media postings. And then usually I have a very solid rule that I don't plan past about just after lunchtime, because inevitably phone rings, something gets delayed, a crisis happens, something comes up. But I usually stay very busy throughout the whole day.
You're the only person in the room. So part of what I wanted to get into is, man, what does that actually mean when something starts going sideways? Obviously, you're the one, or who catches it?
No one sometimes. It's a gift and a curse, Joe. I mean, to be the only person in the room, because obviously what I say goes, but sometimes what I say is wrong. Wrong answers, wrong approaches. My biggest weakness is cold calling. And I didn't know that. It's funny, until I started with AI Esquire. And I was wondering, why am I not good at this? Because I'm not afraid of rejection. And I found that I had this odd people pleasing part of me where I didn't want to people. I hated this feeling of, I'm going to call this person and interrupt them during their day, and I have to then justify why I'm interrupting them. It was a strange thing I learned about myself, that I wasn't afraid of the rejection. I was afraid of being the guy that interrupted somebody during the day, being rude. So I guess I learn things that are wrong, that go wrong, when I start to feel, and I openly admit that this is not feeling right. Usually it's gut feeling, and I try to be as honest as I can be about myself and to myself.
Walk us through AI Esquire, if you don't mind.
So I identified while I was working in the law, and what made me jump out and start the company was intake, because firms, large and small, high end, the corner solo shop, everyone has a problem. They could barely manage their business. Sometimes their receptionist has lunch, they call out sick. I developed a receptionist with AI, a vocal receptionist that answers the phone. It's a really full service AI receptionist, but that was the beginning. I worked in the law. I was working more in-house for an insurance company, doing law with external counsel, outside counsel. But got the itch to practice on my own and jumped out, and I'm a Connecticut practicing lawyer.
What would be the difference between maybe calls you were making when you were practicing law versus now developing this product?
Calls then were for your client. You're trained as an attorney to zealously advocate for the best interest of your client. Your moves are always, how will this benefit my client? Say you're an attorney, it's like you're protecting family with your decisions.
Like you said, you're a solo founder, no co-pilot. When you're weeks of building and you realize this is not working, is there something that tips you off first, or how long that usually takes to determine this is the wrong path to go down?
Yeah, because being a lawyer is a big help, Joe, when it comes to actually understanding whether something's right or wrong, like you're asking. I think that my thermometer for that is probably more acute than most because I was there. If I'm building something and I get through to the point, I look at like the user interface and I'm clicking around. This is either time consuming or it's just another. It doesn't smoothly fit into my day. I always look back at when I was practicing, would this help me? If I say, no, it would just be a time suck, I simply would discard it or change it.
I want to go back a little bit to the pricing build. You're inside it, and the math's making sense. Weeks are going by. What were you doing day to day? Was it just following trends that you thought, this is what other people were doing, this is what the pricing should be? How was your week looking at that point?
We obviously wanted to recoup the smaller costs that we have. We said an interesting thing about our pricing is we don't magnify that per lawyer. A lot of competition, they have a price, and then there's per lawyer, it goes up. We chose to not do that because it doesn't cost us anymore to have more lawyers. We didn't artificially inflate the cost just to, kind of match competition in that way, Joe. But in terms of pricing it, yeah, like I said, we kind of just said that's how, and this is early on how we did this. I kind of said that's how software is priced out there right now. There's usually different tiers. So that was the foundation. I just did what I think others did, and then it just worked itself out to fit in.
So was it a long process, or was it very brief and when you discovered this?
It was more of a kind of knock down, fall down and get back up kind of thing. Again, I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but we had it priced at one point. It was just one price. We just had like one price for everything. It didn't really work out that well in terms of the sales process. It just didn't fit. We needed a little bit more nuance. Some clients had some needs, and that incurs different costs for us. I was just like, oh, it's going to cost X $100 a month. And it wasn't the right move at all. Pretty quickly, we scratched that, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to make it free for a month, and then we'll talk then and see based on the numbers. We'll devise pricing. I actually thought this was a good idea at one point, like open AI. There's open software. That didn't work. So then that's why I said, what is everyone else doing? The three tiers, they actually did work. So that's how that happened.
What, if anything, changed about how you were operating? Did it feel like things had more clarity at that point and easier to just pick back up and start moving forward?
It made it clear that our clients are different. They have different needs, and it was the best expression of our product. It was a natural fit because there is a lot of functionality in the product. So to give it all away just to every single client, not everyone needs it. Some just want the AI to answer the phone, set up appointments. So when that happens, obviously the basic, simpler packages for them.
Was there something in your years of practicing law that maybe a situation where you maybe watched happen to attorneys that made this service impossible to ignore? Was there something that the light bulb went off for you?
They weren't answering the phone. It was, I mean, it's really that simple. There would be, say, an on-call attorney. I remember being the on-call attorney, and everyone treated it like it was like a hot potato game. Like when it was your turn, you were like, oh man, now it's my turn. You'd be at dinner, you'd be going to bed, and the phone would ring, and you'd look at it, and you got to go into work mode because you're not the same lawyer, Joe, you are at 10 p.m. as you are at 10 a.m.
You approached a business coach at one point. I wanted to see what was going on specifically in the week where you almost moved forward with them and why you reached out in the first place.
I was honestly very frustrated by the fact that I was so bad at cold calling. What happened was, in all honesty, I was reading Reddit, and on Reddit, there was a post where someone was going off about people that establish companies and call themselves founders, but they really just have a hobby. When I read this particular post, it really got to me because I wasn't good at cold calling. I felt maybe that's me. Maybe I'm one of these hobbyists. It was an imposter syndrome, almost verified by this post. So my imposter syndrome kind of went crazy at that point. And so I said, I'm going to dedicate myself and I'm going to find somebody. I had like checkbook in hand, ready to go. There was a gut feeling. I have to have this certain degree of respect for what this person does, how they communicate, and an admiration for who they are or what something about them that they do that I want. You start to say, who am I? Do I need a coach? What is it about me that needs a coach? And do I really need this whole overhaul? What I do need is skills, sales, and outreach, and the inventory I did on myself, what I'm good at, what I'm bad at. I ultimately decided that I'm going to seek upskilling in a more kind of nuanced approach. I chose a different modality to find my progress.
You mentioned a pretty vivid example of the check in your hand almost, right? You're ready to write the check. What were you telling yourself in that moment to keep moving toward it?
All I want is to be successful. Like I have a very intense drive to be the best I can be. I have a very strong feeling that if person A could do it, person B could do it, then I could do it. And I wanted to do and I do want currently to do anything that I can possibly do to bring about that success that I want, to always, and if that means hiring a coach for $35,000, then I'll find the money and, we'll do it. If it means traveling somewhere and learning from someone there, if it means reading this book, if it means going to this seminar, I'll do whatever it is. You ask 10 people what to do and you get 10 different answers. If there were a single answer to that question, Joe, I would be doing that thing. I guess that's the challenge.
Going even more narrow, like a specific moment, a specific day. What was it that maybe sales weren't converting fast enough? The income you felt was too far from why you wanted to bring this person in. What was going on at that point?
Income wise, it was a pretty big spend, that kind of money. I am a businessman. I do everything right. I have a weakness, and that weakness is in this cold calling approach and cold email. I don't want to be spam. I want to be so interesting as a company that people will call me. My idea is to do such good marketing that your brand image is positive, and that brings you the clients. But regarding the coach, what kept me going forward was unresolved things that I felt stuck a little bit. There was more growth that I needed to do, both in my company and as a person. And I felt having a coach would kind of give me the keys to unlock that gate. And then I'd be able to continue to grow in that way. And I believe that that's true. I think they do that. Um, I think you just have to have the right balance of honestly cost, because I mean, I thought it was very expensive, commitment, and you have to really see this person as someone that you can respect and model yourself after. It's a big deal to me. I mean, especially at that price point. A real expensive coach takes a lot of your time, a lot of your money, and they better produce results. It's pretty, and I didn't feel that those are the results that I was looking for. When you're calling about your company that nobody knows you, that's the hardest thing in the world there is to do. You've got, what, a few seconds. Someone picks up the phone, you have to tell them both who you are, what your company is, and then what you're selling, your ask is, your pitch. That's a very challenging thing, and anybody who does that well, and there are people who do that well, uh, I find that to be one of the most elite skills in the world. To be able to do that uh, from an emotional standpoint, like to dial.
Like we mentioned, solo operator, no co-pilot, no reliable substitute for that external check. What are you trying? What's worked for you? What hasn't?
This is kind of again an embarrassing answer, but I've gotten pretty friendly with AI. I think Claude has become my co-pilot in some ways. Bouncing things. Thank God for AI. I mean, I don't know if I'd be here. I'm not saying that everything it does is right. There are good and there are some bad things. Since I don't have a co-pilot, I'll take ideas that I have and bounce. And the greatest part to me of AI is that it learns you. It learns your tendencies, and it remembers. I love the memory ability of Claude, ChatGPT. They all do that. If you select it, I believe you have to actually, yeah, you have to
And
set
it'll
it.
tell you, yeah, I'll give you a little blurb like, this is Eric. He does this. What
Yeah,
should I keep? You're like, okay, that's kind of weird, but sure, keep all this. And
you could say things like the prompts where you say, take everything you know about me and tell me what my personality is, my tendencies are, and if I were to do this, is it the right or wrong decision? And why am I making this decision? And it'll tell you, well, and it'll think for a while, and it'll tell you, well, you did this about 3 weeks ago, and this and this and this, and it shows me that you're terrified of cold calling, and you're making these decisions to stay away. I had cold calling on my daily schedule for months. And I remember at one point it came up again on my calendar, because every morning I will actually ask AI, like, what's our process for today? And I remember once it just said to me, it said, I think we have to have a talk. It straight up gave me a lecture on, we have to have a talk about this cold calling. It's been on your calendar for about 2 months and you have not addressed it. I think we need to discuss the reasons you're not doing this. Uh, so that's just a little bit of an example, but I find a lot of support through that. It's really my only choice right now. I do happen to be in the search for a very serious search for a technical co-founder at this point. So, that is something I'm addressing. But until then, I've got Claude as my co-pilot, and I can't say I have any complaints. I'm pretty happy like that, as embarrassing as that is.
no, not
Yeah,
embarrassing
no,
at
I'm
all. Yeah.
pretty
I mean,
pretty happy with that.
I agree. People need to utilize something, right? Because I was going to ask you on the flip side, what has not worked about being a solo founder?
Yeah, a lot. There's a lot of challenges. Number one is time. Accountability has to be the number one. I think you need someone to keep you accountable all the time, because if you're you're going down one path. It's not the right way to go. Like I actually built a music creator because at one point I thought, oh, I think this online music, the Suno, I got so fascinated by Suno at one point. I just developed a whole app on how to, it creates prompts for you, all the nuances, writes lyrics and all. I really wish I had a co-founder that would have told me that's a real waste of time. The lawyers need music for social media, maybe, but accountability, I think, in general, is key. Time. You could have someone call you up. You can't be just making music apps when you have someone else that's working and being productive. So obviously the accountability, I think, is number one. What we do is very heavily creative, and having someone to bounce ideas off of and to get ideas from would be great. Working alone all the time is not the way I'm best suited. I can work alone, but I definitely like working in a group. I like to watch how other people do things, learn from other people's process, and I like working in groups and dividing work. You get more done. Sometimes I'll write to in Claude. I'll be like, I have so many things to do right now. I'm paralyzed because I literally don't know where to go first. Yeah.
Are you able to catch things inside yourself? I talk to a lot of people and they say, I'm heavily into something, but I know I'm depleted. I'm running on less than I think I have
Oh,
here. What's the earliest sign that you've learned maybe to catch in yourself?
that's a great question. It's funny because I have just been dealing with that more, where I've noticed that at like 7 o'clock at night, these time I'm a lot more abrupt, more emotional, I think, at that point. Um, in the morning, I am razor sharp. I am king of productivity in the morning. And there's a transition period there sometime in the afternoon. The way I do know at this point is I look for the emotional part of how I respond to things. In the morning, I respond very pragmatically. I respond in a way that's going to get the job done, and I'm just like, what's next? Let's check this off. I can't really isolate exactly when that is, but as the day goes on, the pressure builds and it's worn away a little bit of maybe that pragmatism. I get more emotional. That's the first sign that the pressure has depleted my reasonableness, I guess, and I'm starting to react in a way. I'm losing. I need a break, and I never take that break. I usually just keep going, which is not the right thing to do. Um, I've learned recently, though, to do that better. I'll take weekend days every now and then, but every founder knows that weekend days are like the sin. Now I do, and I'm happy to do that. This is literally maybe the last 2, 3 weeks. I've been noticing this emotional part of me come out later in the day, so I'm uh, trying to relax a little more and let that pressure ease up a little bit.
For people listening who want to follow your work, reach out, where's the best place to find you and AI Esquire?
I'm big on LinkedIn, so you could just look for me. I think they have me as Eric H on there. Also, the website, aiesquire.io. I have a wonderful book that is kind of about my journey that I wrote called The Runways Behind You. That's on Amazon. If you're interested in how it feels to do what I'm doing, and this conversation is interesting.
Thank you for your time today, Eric.
Thank you so much. It was a great talk. I appreciate it.
Eric spent months with cold calling on his schedule and never touched it. The AI noticed before he did. That's not a technology story. That's what the check looks like when there's no one else in the room.